Alrighty, so I have opened digitizing, you can see here, and even though there is nothing in the hoop, I can click Edit Background. And this will take me into Draw and Paint. And in Draw and Paint, I click Insert, that little plus symbol. I go down to Design, File. I find the picture I'm looking for. It could be a drawing or a picture. For this, I am going to simply make an outline of the poppy. And the reason I am in Draw and Paint to do the outline is that I want to make this particular poppy into a motif. So I will be using the line. I will not be using any fill. I don't particularly care what color it is, and the purple shows up fine. And I'm going to draw by using my point draw tool to set points. I could choose to do the freehand draw or a Bezier, and I'm not interested in those at this time. Now, the main thing that this program will check on, whoops, let's see, I'm gonna have to finish that because I tapped down while I was chatting away here, is the program will check that your start and end point, so if I start here and come in and go all the way around and then do the insides to try and come out this side, that the start and end points are on the same line. So you pick a grid line and have them start on one and end on the other on the same line horizontally, and then the program will make it into a motif for you. So to do a motif, one continuous line, start on the left, do your continuous line, end up on the right on the same grid line. Now we can do with start points, although to tell you the truth, I hadn't really mapped out where I was going to do this. It doesn't have a go around. Then I could do some of these and come back out this way and follow down there again. Alrighty, let's see if I can get this done in one pass. Probably not. There we go. I've got the point tool, and now anytime I go near my screen, I'm going to come in here, I'll make a straight line I can edit after. I just want to know where that is. And I don't mind if it comes back up. And it depends. I can edit those lines if they're not on top of each other. I just want to get the points down to see if I can map this out the way I'm thinking I can. Right now I'm choosing not to do all those little, you see these little vertical lines. I can't, I can't run my cursor over them, but I'm choosing not to do the extra definition on the petals, and we'll see how I like that. And when you get these zigzags, I talked about it in my motif video where I was making my motifs different sizes. If you shrink it, you could end up with something that's more knotted. And as I showed you on that video, if you shrink this to be a small motif, you might want to take some of these stitches out. Yeah, this one's going to have 3 over the line, so we'll see if a triple stitch sews up too much. And I want to be on this line over here. Okay, and if I was happy with that, and I'm not sure they're in the exact same place, and let's see what happens, is test it out. If it doesn't work, I can edit the stitches. Motif has been added. Woohoo! Now, with the motif added, I only have to close this if that's all I want to do, but I may be doing more with this file, so I am going to save it. And I go back to digitizing, and the background is there, and my outline is there. Okay, so what I wanted to show you is some of the things you think, oh, I'll try this, and I just want to show you that this command will let you do something, but it isn't helpful, okay? If that explains it. You would go to Object and say, break apart. Maybe you want to move this outline for your whole. And it gives you your motif fill, the running stitch for the outline, and the running stitch for the inside. Now the deal is the motif fill is what has the hole. If you broke it apart and you try moving your running stitch, what you will see, oops, let's get this guy highlighted. I'll make it. There we go, come on. Is that the running stitch moved, but you'll see that the hole didn't. And I did want to show you, you can separate those. If I undo that move, where it would be useful if you decided you wanted this to be a triple stitch or a satin stitch or something else, then it's a worthwhile thing to do. But once you've set the hole, when you use QuickStitch hole, you cannot move it again unless you move the individual points. And that's a real pain in the patootie when you look at all of these points I have here. So you cannot move the hole once it's set, which is why at the beginning it's better to take a few minutes fussing with your background if you're using the background to do the quick stitch hole. Okay, so we made a motif based on a picture. It could be based on anything you like. Now we're going to create a quilt design with it. Then we will use the quick stitch hole and create a focal point. So I am in digitizing, and this is how it looks when it opens on a Mac. I know some of you don't have a Mac, and that's okay. Your commands are the exact same. We cannot say that enough. They're just in different places. On your fill choices, choose motif. I'll do a running stitch around the outside, and be sure to go to options, fill area and line. Now what I did when I made my motifs, and this is where you might come up with a different one and select my motifs, is I made this poppy in all different sizes so I could see what I liked best for quilting. I started with a 1-inch size and then 2.5, and it goes all the way up to things I might play with. If you're doing a large hoop and a large quilt, you might want something much more spread out. So here we go. I'm going to show you this with the small one. And when I do this, you'll notice although you can flip these, sometimes it's easier if you want to create them facing. And these are also different sizes. Usually I try to make it consistent, large to small, small to large. That way when you've got a bunch, you see how you can tell when you look at your width and height. Like I can tell that this is basically 2 inches, and that's about twice as big. So you can look at your width and height to see if you do make a bunch of different sizes. And I'm just using the one motif. I think I'm going to make them close together as far as vertical lines, so the quilting will be closer together. Sometimes I like to have more separation so you can see rows, and the horizontal offset of 50. I like it when it's not all on top of each other. Since I want to fill the hoop, I choose that square shape, hit Option Return, then just hit Option to get out and up. There we go. That's my quilting. If it was a hair smaller I would fit 5, or I would 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I would fit the bottom row. So I was wondering. I thought that I'll fit, but we'll leave this for the example. I could take this motif down by a couple of more millimeters if I wanted an even set of full poppies in here. Now that I have the motif fill, I can use the hole feature. Now with the hole feature, the thing to know about it is the quick stitch hole will only make a hole in a fill. So it has to be one of your choices under fill. The other thing is once you place it, when you're using the quick stitch hole, it's very hard to make changes to it. Okay, so those are the two things to know. Now, you'll see I don't have a background here, but I can still click Edit Background and go into Draw and Paint. And in Draw and Paint, I can go to the Draw tab, say Motifs, Insert Motif. I want to go to my motifs. I'm going to do the poppies, and I want the biggest one this time. And I think I wanted him to be about 7 of these grid squares tall. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, he is. Okay, and it's going to center wherever I leave this on Draw and Paint is where, when I close it, it will be in the background. So I want that over a little. That's kind of looking all right. Now I can just get out of there, finish, and you'll see this light purple line for my poppy background. Now that I have a background, I can click on Quick Stitch Hole. When I come over to the line, you'll see it's like, I don't see a line. And then it goes, there it is, and it changes to that 4-pointed star. So I can click on that, and I might bring this up to 15. Whoop. And you'll see it cut out everything within the hole. Now these purple lines are just the background. If I take background off, you'll see now what I have is my background quilting with a hole in it. And now in digitizing, I can do an insert motif, and I can do the same one, the large poppy. It didn't come into the center, but I can bring it in. You can line it up. Gonna have a lid, there we go. See, sometimes I start fudging around with this and I don't want you guys to get too bored. So we'll go, this is pretty close. Not perfect, but there I have a quilting design. And now this does have, you know, it is going to have a stop. You'll see running stitch. It's going to make a tie on, tie off, but like I said, this is probably a mug rug with a backing. And then the motif fill. Now for this one, what I want to do is get rid of the two little pieces on the ends, because you saw that because it was a motif, I have these little bits joining them together. I could have made those shorter and have them connect, and I can actually fix that line to connect. Hadn't realized that was there. But I just hit delete points and I can get rid of that guy. Get rid of this one. I don't know what that little dash is doing there, so we'll try one more. No, it looks like it's on the background. I don't know where this little bit is coming from. Oh, it's because when I loaded the background motif, I still had these little bits here. You can edit the running stitch outline for the hole. The thing is, the hole itself won't move. So if you were to move part of this running stitch, as I showed you before, you would still have the quilting underneath it. But you can move the running stitch. So let's see, how's that look? Much better. There we go. And if I wanted to highlight the poppy part more, I could change it from a running stitch. Sorry, I'm tapping on there before I close this. To a triple stitch. Make it a motif bean stitch, even although that might be too much for the center part here. I did, when I make the smaller ones, I took some of these out so I wouldn't end up with too much of a knot in here. So these smaller ones don't have quite as much going on in the center. But this is just a quick, you see where this was just a few minutes, and if you spend a little bit more time with it, you can really fancy this out and get some very nice quilting effects. So go ahead and play with your system and show us what you come up with.